My mission is simple, to make you money. I'm here to level the playing field for all investors. There's always a bull market somewhere, and I promise to help you find it. Mad Money starts now. Hey, I'm Cramer. Welcome to Mad Money. Welcome to Cramerica. Other people want to make friends? I'm just trying to make you some money. My job is not just to entertain, but to put it in context. So call me at 1-800-743-CNBC or tweet me at Jim Cramer. What if the center holds? What if the Republic is in better shape than we think, and our leaders in Washington can actually find a way to compromise and maybe actually get something done? I got to tell you, that's how I felt earlier today when I interviewed Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House and leader of the Democratic Party, about how she looks at things. You'll see that interview later in the show, but for now, you should know that she's hoping for constructive dialogue between Democrats and Republicans, including the president, which is something I pretty much written off as impossible. Now, before I go into what I heard, remember that despite today's sedate action, Dow inching up 34 points, S&P advancing 0.26%, NASDAQ actually gaining 0.40%. We are on the cusp of an incredibly important Fed meeting tomorrow. If it goes badly, it could slaughter the seemingly irrepressible bulls. The kind of people who keep buying even an oil spike or some disappointing tech news like we got today. I'm very concerned about the Fed meeting because if I were Jay Powell, I might want to stick it to the president by saying there's no need to cut interest rates. After all, we've got plenty of job growth, and the only possible slowdown out there is being caused by the trade war, which is very much by design. So why should the Fed lift a finger to ameliorate the pain?
The House of Pain.
President Trump is out there calling Powell a bonehead day after day, and even an enemy of the United States. Why would Powell do the president any favors at all? I think you go either way. There's enough evidence to justify easing or doing nothing. If I were Powell, though, I would cut and then discuss the comments Federal Express made after issuing an extremely disappointing quarterly report this very evening. As Chairman and CEO Fred Smith, an economist by trade, acknowledged, quote, our performance continues to be negatively impacted by a weakening global environment driven by increasing trade tensions and policy uncertainty. Look, the market's expecting a quarter-point cut, but largely because the economy is slowing, inflation is minimal, and Powell took rates too high, too fast last year. The bond market with low long-term rates is practically screaming for cuts. I just don't know if Powell hears those screams.
They know nothing!
Given that the stock market remains overbought, there's a case to be made that we could get hammered by anything less than a rate cut, with a statement that more cuts could be in the offing if business slows further. We got to have that, too, regardless, of course, for the reason for the slowdown, including the trade war. Powell could hang it all on Trump, that everything would be just fine without the president's tariffs. Pay no attention to the overly aggressive 2018 rate hikes behind the curtain. Look, I have no illusions. Powell's human. Stop trading. It's got to be tempting to refuse to cut rates purely out of spite. But at the end of the day, Powell takes his job seriously. And I don't think he'd do that no matter how miserably the president treats him. That doesn't mean he'll give us what we want, though. He might decide on a more measured pace for his rate cuts, simply because he thinks it's a good idea. Which brings me to Speaker Nancy Pelosi. I know the trade war with China is front and center for many of you, and for good reason, given the jarring nature of the tariffs and the struggle to make the Chinese government change their unfair practices. But to me, the more salient trade initiative is the prospect of this new trade pact among the U.S., Mexico, and Canada, the USMCA outline, that so many executives are worried about because they think it might not be able to pass Congress. Imagine that. The prevailing wisdom here is that things have gotten so rancorous and ugly in Washington that the chances of this thing passing seem to be diminishing by the day. I think a failure would be disastrous for many of the international businesses based here. However, that's not the impression I got after talking to the Speaker of the House. Even though Pelosi isn't buddies with Trump by any stretch of the imagination, she knows that American workers, and especially American farmers, by the way, want this deal, and she believes it should get done. If she can get something concrete delivered, I think she'll shepherd it through the House, provided it has enforcement provisions. Fortunately, I don't think that's actually that much of a sticking point between her and the president. Last Thursday, the Washington Post ran a terrific editorial arguing that Congress shouldn't play politics with the USMCA deal, even if that means the Democrats end up giving Trump a win going into an election year. After speaking to Pelosi, I get the sense that a deal will be made regardless of the presidential political fallout. We talked about a host of other issues, but I think it's important to consider that the two sides, the Democrats and the Republicans, aren't as far apart as you might expect on a very crucial issue. All that said, I sure wish the market hadn't gone up today, even if it only went up a little. The probability of Powell making a misstep, even if he gives us a rate cut, is just too great. Unfortunately, he's chosen to have these press conferences every day after every Fed meeting, a decision that I think has turned out to be very ill-advised, given the tension between the White House and the gentlemanly Fed chief. But once we get through the big bad event of the Fed meeting, we'll have a respite that Washington might be able to fill with meaningful legislation and practicality. Bottom line, I think you need to stay pat. Even if the bulls don't get exactly what they want from the Fed tomorrow, it's just not worth trying to game this market when you know that eventually we're likely to get lower interest rates and maybe even an updated trade deal that replaces the now not so hot for America NAFTA. Two things that would be very good for stock prices. Let's go to Beery in Georgia. Beery!
Hi, Jim. My son has a question for you.
Sure.
Jim, this is Bear from Savannah, Georgia. I am turning 7 tomorrow, and I would love to buy my first stock ever. What do you think about Shell? RDX Shell. I love oil stocks.
Well, Bear, all right,
you could buy.
All right, first of all, the kid's got horse sense because it's got good yield. But you know what? A younger person should not be interested in yield. I want you to go for growth, Beer. I think that Royal Dutch Shell, also, by the way, these fossil fuel stocks, they don't trade so hot. So let's buy some growth. Let's pick up some Adobe at a discount. That's my gift to you. Hey, young kids, please keep calling, especially children.
His name is Bear. We like bulls, but we like bears.
Oh, the kid's name is Bear. I want the next kid to be Bull. Or Dan in Ohio. Dan.
Hey, Jim, how you doing?
Dan, I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm pretty good. Hey, my question is about Roku. I'm up about 130%. Is it time to take my money, or do you think it's still got some room to run?
Hey, listen, Chief, you're up 130%. You got to take a little schnitzel here. I want you to take out your cost basis, which you can do because you're up that much. And then you can just forget about and let Roku run. And congratulations. Oh, how much have you made in a Russell Index fund? How much you been in S&P? No, we ought to be brainwashed. We're not allowed to pick stocks because we don't know what we're doing. Not! Stand pat, people. It's just not worth trying to game this market on a day-to-day basis. Eventually, we're going to get a respite. Hey, on Mad Money tonight, if the Dow breaks out, which two stocks could lead the way? I'll reveal the names. Tonight's off the charts, and I think the bulls will like it. Then, I sat down with Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi to talk everything from China to North American trade deal. Do not miss my exclusive. And I'm talking to CEO of Adobe, fresh off its report. What does the market rotation out of cloud software stocks mean for the company going forward? And is the stock a buy or a sell? I say stay with Cramer.
Don't miss a second of Mad Money. Follow @Jim Cramer on Twitter. Have a question? Tweet Cramer. #MadTweets. Send Jim an email to madmoney@cnbc.com or give us a call at 1-800-743-CNBC. Miss something? Head to madmoney.cnbc.com.